Hello, fellow members of the Midnight Society. Welcome back to another episode review from the show Are You Afraid of the Dark? Last time, we covered The Tale of the Jagged Sign, a Kiki story about a ghost haunting a cliffside due to lost love. Tonight's narrative is Stig's second attempt to get into the Midnight Society, and it's about a boy obsessed with death who gets more than he bargained for after hearing a radio station exclusively for those who have passed away. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this Season 5, Episode 3, The Tale of Station 109.1. We open on Stig whining about being blindfolded again, even though he only has to wear it to and from the campsite, and he's the one who opted to wear a sack over his face the entire story in the previous episode. Gary takes the blindfold, which is Sam's bandana, also from the previous episode, and offers it back to her, which results in...
No way, burn it.
Oh, bury it. We don't want any toxic fumes.
Tonight's tale will determine if Stig makes it into the Midnight Society or not. Gary tells him they'll be fair when judging, despite Stig's attempts to sabotage himself, but more on that later. Stig starts the preamble to his story and apparently told Tucker to tell the others to bring a radio and a ton of batteries, because they each have one. Stig tells them to tune to their favorite radio station. He then has them all turn the radios on simultaneously, which only seems to reveal that Tucker forgot to take his Ritalin. After, Kiki asks the point of that, and Stig says that every day radio signals are flying all around us. But what if one of those signals was coming from somewhere unexpected, like beyond the grave? I mean, it's really not all that unexpected. I mean, we all saw Beetlejuice, right? If they have their afterlife version of civil service, they definitely have a radio station. Maybe even a movie theater. Ooh. I wonder who their version of Steven Spielberg is. I mean, I would love to see his work, including their version of Jaws featuring a sandworm instead of a shark. The tale begins on what appears to be a funeral. The only thing that really gives it away is the corpse breathing. We then get the reveal that it is, of course, a fake-out.
Dinner's ready, Chris. And how many times do I have to tell you? Pick up your clothes.
What do you mean, dinner's ready? Does your son just lay in his room all day pretending to be dead? Look, I have known some angsty, death-obsessed teens in my day, but that kid might need some help.
I wonder if anyone was ever buried alive. Imagine being in the coffin, having dirt dot on top.
I stand corrected. That kid definitely needs some help. This is one of our main characters, Chris. We see that his brother, Jamie, is played by a young Ryan Gosling in his first TV role. After Chris finishes weirding his family out, we cut to what I assume is the next day, where Chris is outside torturing a grasshopper.
I wonder how long you can survive in there.
What a cheesehead.
I'm sorry, cheesehead? Is that an insult? Hold on. Just... Cheesehead, slang, a person from Wisconsin. I don't think that's what he meant. Hold on. A fan of the Green Bay Packers? Possible, but unlikely. There's still more. A German, Dutch, or Scandinavian person. Okay, I feel like we're getting further away from what he meant. There's one more. A blockhead or a stupid person. Okay, I think we have a winner. But why not just say blockhead? Did you think the creator of the Peanuts would sue? Also, why do I suddenly have the urge for string cheese?
Where snack foods abound, one string cheese is always ripped and ready for action. Presenting Cheesehead String Cheese!
Jamie heads over to a guy working on a car who mentions how weird Jamie's brother is. Jamie says that Chris was playing capture the flag in a graveyard with some friends, and now all he can talk about is graves and stuff. They were playing hide and seek in the graveyard, and it was after dark, Jamie. Get your facts straight.
Ollie, ollie, oxen free!
The mechanic asks Jamie why he doesn't do something to make his brother snap out of it. This gives Jamie an idea when he sees an old hearse that they've been working on at the garage. Later that night, Jamie finds his brother in his room playing Hangman by candlelight. You know what? I can't with this kid. He is a fucking cartoon character, and the worst part is, I guarantee this is exactly how Stig is in real life. Damn it, Frank! Why'd you have to let Gary kill you between seasons?
Hey, why
watch it, man.
Jamie takes Chris out to see the hearse. Is the garage across the street from their house? It's weird for such a residential-looking area, but okay. Jamie tells Chris that there was a body in the back of the hearse earlier that day, which gets Chris way too excited. I mean, like, if this kid knows what an erection is, he just got one. Anyway, Chris gets in the hearse and Jamie locks him inside. Chris then starts giving his own eulogy until Jamie connects some jumper cables to a battery outside, which starts the car and scares the crap out of his brother. Chris manages to turn the car off, but after he does, the radio starts to tune itself, and Chris hears the following.
This is 109.1, radio for the dimensionally challenged.
Outside the car, Jamie encounters Giles. Old Man Corcoran. No, sorry, who are you?
I'm Daniel Carpenter.
Okay, he's definitely a ghost, but looking way less pale than normal. This poor guy. Even when he wasn't a ghost in Old Man Corcoran, he was made to seem that he was. I guess he just has that undead look about him, though not really sure I'd want that being the vibe I'm putting out to casting directors. You need a ghost? I've got just the guy. He doesn't even need to act. He's completely dead behind the eyes. The next day, Chris is listening to station 109.1 in the kitchen when Jamie comes in and changes the channel. He says it's 4 o'clock and he always listens to Clark and Ryan at 4 o'clock. Chris storms off to his room and uses the 90s internet to look up station 109.1 on radiospace.com. He finds that no station is currently assigned to 109.1, but does find an address for the last known entry assigned to that station.
Bingo.
Bro, you just went in to quickly look the station up. Why did you light the damn candles again? Anyway, Chris apparently walks from whatever suburb-looking place they live in to what appears to be just outside of a major downtown area. And it was after 4 p.m. when he left. I mean, surely he should be lying in his funeral parlor waiting for dinner by now. Now, I will point out that he is wearing a different shirt from when he was on his computer, so maybe this is the next day, but that transition made it seem like he just got the address and went. Chris finds the door to what I'm calling the sketch as f*** station 109.1. He enters, and we definitely get big Beetlejuice Afterlife energy, not necessarily in the look, but in the overall vibe. Chris sees a line of people at a closed window. There's a sign that says "Do not knock" on the window, so naturally, Chris ignores it. Now, it is at this point in the episode when the late Gilbert Gottfried makes his appearance, so I just want to address something. One of the issues that I had with Bobcat Goldthwait's appearance in The Tale of the Final Wish was that he was just Bobcat, and wasn't menacing as the Sandman. Gilbert is a similar comedian to Bobcat in that they both put on these larger-than-life voices that are not their natural speaking voice. So I'm hoping that this time around they've learned their lesson and we get a more nuanced performance from Mr. Gottfried.
Do not knock on the window! What's the matter with you? You can't read?
I knew that was asking too much. Most people know Gilbert from his role as the voice of Iago in Disney's Aladdin, but to me, he'll always be financial manager Mr. Sidney Bernstein.
That's my wife's car. That's not my car. That's
She has 25 unpaid parking tickets.
It's under my name, but it's my wife's car. No.
Chris manages to cut in line because apparently ghosts are mindless and react to nothing, even though we've already seen otherwise in the episode, and we'll see some more examples of it later.
Excuse me. Do you know the way home?
There's been a mistake. We got the wrong guy.
Mr. Gottfried, known as Roy in the story, begrudgingly invites Chris into the office.
The candidate shall be relieved of all that binds him or her to the physical world.
I'm sorry, the powers that rule over the afterlife use slap bracelets to unbind souls from the mortal world? Man, I must have died so many times in junior high. Anyway, Chris says that he's not ready to move on to the next life. Roy asks him where he heard the station playing, and Chris says a hearse.
Here, Carpenter, Daniel James, buried this afternoon.
Buried this afternoon? Jamie pulled his gag at night, and the body was in the hearse earlier that day, which means it was buried yesterday, not today. This episode can't even get its own timeline right. Anyway, Chris says that there's been a mistake. Roy replies sarcastically, and shortly after we see why. Because he hears that all the time.
I'm not supposed to go.
While I'd love to poke fun at the budget Grim Reaper costumes, I've got bigger fish to fry. This place is just to guide people to the afterlife who missed their initial transition, so why is there a wait? Surely a rotating door to just keep them moving through would be more efficient. And what would be even more efficient would be to not let them skip the transition. You die, you go directly to the afterlife. You do not pass go, you do not collect a slap bracelet, you just go directly there. Anyway, tangent over. The random guy gets escorted to the afterlife, and Roy gives some surprisingly chilling commentary.
He led a nasty life, and he's gonna lead a much nastier afterlife.
Chris runs home to tell Jamie about what happened, but Jamie seems to be ignoring him. Chris finally loses his cool and resorts to physical violence.
Forget Clark and Ryan. Listen to me.
Huh? Okay, so let me get this straight. The slap bracelet is meant for spirits, but if it gets put on a physical body, it makes them a spirit? Well, why would anyone design that like that? I mean, whoever is in charge of the afterlife needs to be fired. I'm talking everyone, from the R&D team who created these bracelets that can doom the living to the CEO who approved all this shit. Okay? Or at the very least, hire a quality control team to test all this before releasing it to the public. The dead public. The dead public. Great name for a screamo band. We are the Dead Public, and this is our hit single, Stig Touched Me Inappropriately. Chris runs into another room to get his mom, but finds himself back at the radio station, and we see that he is only 10 numbers away from being called. He tries to leave again, but finds himself immediately back inside. He heads further into the station to find the broadcasting room. Roy enters and gets on the air, where we are treated to some of the quality voice work that fans of Gilbert's stand-up were already privy to.
We're on the air live, so to speak. This is station 109.1.
Chris tries to convince Roy that he's alive. He says that Roy's making a mistake, to which Roy responds,
I don't make mistakes!
How about a test before you put the Doom bracelets on to ensure you don't make any mistakes? Come on, Afterlife team, this is basic stuff we're talking about here. Now look, I don't know what that test would be, since it seems that ghosts can interact with physical objects like doors and much bigger things, as we'll see in a bit, but not the living. Maybe you keep a turtle in a terrarium and have everyone try to pet the turtle. If they can't, give them a bracelet. If they can, send them packing. Or, what about this? What about some glasses that can just see the difference between the living and the dead, right? We'll come up with a fun name. We'll call them Spectre Specs. And if you're interested, I know a guy who'll sell them to you very cheap. He's always willing to lose on the deal, okay? Anyway, that's not the point. The announcement gets closer to Chris's number, and Roy continues to get more sinister.
Ever wonder where the term "your number's up" came from?
I have to say, I thought Gilbert's shoutiness was going to kill the episode for me the way that Bobcattiness did in his episode, but he's fairly reserved here, only shouting when necessary, and he's actually giving me that nuanced performance I was looking for. Anyway, Chris realizes that it's 4 o'clock. Wait. So this is the day after he found the address. That means Roy was off by 2 days on when Daniel Carpenter was buried, not just one as I stated previously. I don't know why I'm still surprised. Everything else run by the Afterlife team has been a shit show, so why should their understanding of time be any different?
Look, maybe you've got an eternity, but I'm on schedule!
Chris gets on the air and somehow broadcasts over the station that the Clark and Ryan show airs on. Jamie hears Chris's message, but he thinks it's an elaborate prank until Budget John Lithgow shows up claiming to be Daniel Carpenter. This freaks Jamie out and he runs back home, but this ghost doesn't need to use doors and catches up with Jamie in Chris's room, where Jamie sees the address for the radio station on Chris's computer. Daniel convinces Jamie to help by saying, "Do it!" Back at the station, Roy finds Chris making his broadcast and starts chasing him. Chris finds a room to hide in, and we cut to outside where the hearse is heading to the station with Jamie in the passenger seat. So, the ghost is driving? So he can pass through solid matter or interact with it? And also, if Jamie couldn't see Chris, why can he see Daniel? The afterlife in this episode has more inconsistencies than the entire series run of the TV show Lost.
No, you're mistaken.
Inside the station, Chris is caught by the Halloween store Nazgul, and Roy says that they're not waiting for his turn anymore. They're just putting him through now since he's been such a pain. Jamie and Daniel get there and try to stop Roy, but...
That's my brother, he's not dead.
Nah, I don't think so.
Stig? Did you just kill a kid? Well, prepare the Shia aggressively applauding clip.
They said I wasn't dead.
For shame. How dare you tease me with a dark ending? Anyway, Roy tries to play down the seriousness of his mistake.
So I made a teensy-weensy little mistake, and I was about to send an innocent young boy to his death.
We've all been there. Right, Gary?
It's do or die time.
Chris puts the bracelet on Daniel and asks if he's worried it will be horrible. The door's open to accept him, and then...
It's only horrible if you've led a bad life. If you led a good life, it's the best thing going.
The tale ends on a new day with Jamie and Chris going to play some baseball. You sealed that thing in there at least 3 days ago. That is a ghost grasshopper. In fact, someone should get it a slap bracelet because it is f***ing dead. Anyway, the time has come for the Midnight Society to vote on Stig's story while he continues his quest to influence their vote for the worse. I mean, read the room, guy. What am I saying? He's just a creep. In fact, even after they approve his story, he pulls this sleazy move.
I'll never forget you for this. Ew! Come on, give us a hug.
Oh, I have never been pulling for someone to be murdered by Gary at the end of a season. Yet, here we are. And the writing is already on the wall.
Control him or I'll throw you both out.
Now for the review. Overall, I thought this episode was a pretty good time. You have an interesting plot and good acting, though I do wish the scares would have been a bit more prevalent.
Don't be mad, I was just trying to get you to lighten up.
The settings were good. Obviously, the boy's house was pretty standard stuff, except for Chris's funeral parlor bedroom. The radio station was great. The old-timey look inside and all the signage and music really sold that it was a place for the dead.
I made that up.
The story. While I savagely tore into the plot on this one due to all the inconsistencies with the afterlife, I did enjoy it. The idea of a ghost radio station that draws lost spirits to it so they can pass on is a great one. What's weird to me is that I feel like the backstory in the Tale of Train Magic would have gone better with this story than it did with its own episode. Make Chris obsessed with death because his dad died, and then at the end, when he gets sent back from the afterlife, it could be their dad bringing him so that he can get that closure and know that because his dad led a good life, he's in a better place.
You can't come in here unless you're in the Union.
The scares. I'm sure that younger viewers would find the dollar store Dementors intimidating, but they did nothing for me. I wish they maybe had some kind of a sound to go along with their presence. And don't get me wrong, there is something there, but it's very subtle and it almost blends in with the background music. I'm talking about something like from the movie Ghost from 1990, when the shadow demons would come up and drag your soul to hell. In fact, enjoy a delightful sampling. Now, I'm not talking about anything quite that intense for the kids. Maybe tone it down a bit, but just something to give them a little more oomph, you know? I also wish that they could have just done more with the ghosts themselves, but I realize that with that many dead folks, they wouldn't have had the budget to do anything cool with them, so I'm not going to hold that against the episode. Younger me wouldn't have found this episode scary, but it would have made me interested in becoming a ghost DJ.
What are you, crazy? I can lose my job!
The acting in this episode was good, which is usually the case when you're working with older kid actors. Chris is the weaker of the two brothers, but not by much, and he does a decent enough job selling his fascination with death and his fear when he thinks he's going to become a permanent member of the afterlife. Jamie is great as the older frustrated brother, though he really doesn't get much to do in the episode. Still, a solid first outing for the future arm candy in a Barbie movie.
No way!
The adult acting in the episode was also good. I'm not going to mention the mechanic or the parents because they're barely in the episode. Daniel is fine as a non-pale ghost. He gets more to do here than he has in previous episodes, but of course he gets completely overshadowed by Gilbert Gottfried's Roy, who steals every scene that he's in. I was worried going into it, but as a fan of his stand-up, I knew that he was capable of so much more than yelling, and it was a pleasure to see him work here. He gives the yelling, he gives the menace, he gives the comedy, and he even gives us a little heart at the end. You are a delight, Gilbert, and you are truly missed.
Everybody's got a story.
Stig, while I still find you an annoying and deplorable human being, you tell good stories. The tale of Station 109.1 meets the approval of the Midnight Society. The Midnight Society members poll on this one was, at the time of recording this video, 91% in favor of, with 9% against, so it looks like we're all mostly in agreement. We look forward to many more tales from you, Stig. Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting to turn this off. Hello? Oh, hey DJ! Hey, it's the show creator. What's up, DJ? DJ baby! Sorry, Mr. McHale. Yeah, what can I do for you? Uh-huh. That was Stig's last story. Okay, so, I mean, it's a bold strategy. But, hey, did you get a chance to look at that Gary murder board I sent you? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Hello? Hello? He hung up.
I'm out of here.
I want to thank the following Midnight Society members for participating in this video's poll.
109.1 Radio.
Who keeps putting that station on? I know I'm pale, but I'm not f***ing dead, alright? Look, I gotta go turn this thing off before someone tries to put a slap bracelet on me. Names are on the screen.
All you need to do is follow my voice, and I'll help you find the way home.
What did you all think of Stig's story? Did you see it as a kid? Do you know the basic speed laws as they pertain to ghost drivers? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to check out the next episode on the tale of the mystical mirror. Until then, are you afraid of the dark? Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and a share. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when more of these episodes go up. And we'll see you all next time.